I was just saying, like, we have established that discrimination has existing hundreds and thousands of years of human history or existence. I would like to ask, like, Kim and Wayne and Vilas, and I don't know where Al is. So I just want to ask, like, how do you expect people to change? What can be done to change this mindset?
Knowledge is power. Education. Read, learn, understand. Make a black friend, for crying out loud. I mean, get
but
out
what if
there.
I don't want to?
Listen
What if
to
I
them.
don't want to?
Then you're going to stay in your little hole. I mean, the entire nation watched while this cop, murdered this guy with complete impunity. He just stood there and murdered him. And you want to pivot and talk about, oh, Target's missing some, televisions. I don't give a shit if Target's missing some televisions. Burn it down. Burn it down. I don't care. Murder is far more important. And you know what? Target came out. It's like, it's okay. We got more important things to talk about right now. That's what we have to talk about. Guess what? Everybody's been suffering from the pandemic, except for all the people that were looted can now make an insurance claim. Think about that. They couldn't make an insurance claim before. Mm-hmm. Were they looted? I don't know. I'm not saying anything definitively. I'm just saying that's a convenient story. Let's not change the subject. Let's get back to Breonna Taylor. Let's get back.
I argue with so many people online who the first move that they make is a redirect, and I call it up off the redirecting. Then they get mad because because I called it up, and then I'll force them back on subject, and they'll redirect. Force them back on the topic of police brutality against black people or against people in general, because it all kind of fits under the same umbrella of what I believe Black Lives Matter is putting at the top of the mantle of what needs to be addressed. Black people. But even if somebody's white is brutalized by the police, I've seen in my Facebook feeds people discuss that with the same level of anger, because of the fact is that police have been armed about the last 10 years with unused military equipment. I remember seeing the transfer over 10 years ago or so. They were talking about it on the news how the military is selling things to the police or giving it to the police. I'm wondering, what do we need all that for? And then and now they have all these tools. They come out whipping with the guns pointed at everywhere. And
Kim, you were saying something?
Kim was saying something.
Oh, I was just responding to something that Navila said, was that there's been this meme going around saying that instead of saying, well, it's a shame that he died, but look at all the violence and all the looting. No. It should be, well, it's a shame that people are losing their property, but what about the man who lost his life? The emphasis is on the wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the redirect.
And I think a lot of people think that life is all or nothing. And I feel like that with the whole, when people are so offended when they hear Black Lives Matter, and they say, well, all lives matter. Well, yeah, no kidding, all lives matter. We're not
all
saying
lives have always mattered.
Don't matter. We're saying that you need to recognize the fact that Black lives also matter. And so that's why it's being highlighted. So why are you getting so angry about this?
Yeah.
Are you guys hopeful?
I believe that all lives matter. If somebody says to you, Black lives matter, it shouldn't bother you.
Yeah. I read something on Facebook very interesting. Somebody had posted it about all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter. So somebody wrote a comment about that, if a doctor comes in and does it and your heart has problem, they look at your heart saying, oh, your heart has a problem, but let me check other organs because they all matter. So let me check those first before I do anything with your heart. When you know that heart is going to collapse.
Yes.
So there's exactly the same phenomenon. It's your heart is bleeding. You need to put a stop to that before you take care of other things. It's not that everybody cares about all lives, but it's not about all lives at this moment. At this moment, Black Lives Matter because we are losing them almost every day, including while
because they are in danger.
Going on.
Those lives are in danger. Not everybody's life is in as much danger as the Black lives are right now.
These protests happening now, and protests have happened in the past as well, right? Where do you think these protests are going to end up? Will they make any difference? If not, then what would make a difference? start with Kim. Since you were talking, might as well continue on.
Okay. I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know how things will end up. I can tell you that my gut feeling is that this is different. This time is different.
Yes.
I feel like that there's more of an awareness. I feel, for one, when I'm arguing with people on Facebook, I have a bunch of other people supporting me and saying, okay, you relax, I got this. And then they tag off and everybody's calling out injustices. And so I feel like that this is different. And I feel like that because it feels so different, that something good has to come out of this. So I guess I could say that I'm cautiously optimistic, but I don't know if, because it's funny, I saw someone on Facebook said, well, Black people are never happy and it's never going to be enough. And my response was, it'll be enough when there's equality. And what I don't know is how long, if ever, it'll take us to get to true equality.
Very well said. Very well said.
Very well said, Kim.
Wayne,
Perfect.
what do you
I
think?
think that I think that a lot of white people have to seriously accept the negative parts of their history, because that's all the negative parts being all the years between slavery and the 60s and even beyond that, and realize that they're not as good at everything as they may have been, as Hollywood movies and TV may have led them to believe they are, because the rest of the world think that way. Even as I do my travels, I know what they think. They're thinking off of what they saw in the movies. And a lot of locals probably think that that's how they are, a perfect history, a perfect nothing. But when they look under the table and see all the things that happened to get to, for the United States to get to where it's at right now, they begin to realize that they may have been given an extra hand, or may have had an extra leg up because somebody else was being pushed down before. So they might not be as good as they think they are. And that could really make a lot of people quite angry when you have to go and start opening up the past, because they don't like to discuss the past unless they're talking about the Civil War or World War II or something else that kind of makes the United States overall look like it's just accepting the past realistically. I didn't even personally know anything, or I never thought I'd even be talking about police brutality as a person, because of my growing up, the policemen were always in the rural areas, nobody had any issues with any of that stuff. In fact, it wasn't until maybe about 5 years ago that I even I saw an episode of Sanford and Son, and Fred Sanford makes a joke about, I thought the number one cause of death in the world of Black people was police brutality. And this was back in the 70s, and so it's through all the decades, through all the eras. So just take a realistic look at your past and at history.
Vilas,
Thanks.
you want to pitch in?
So one of my original thoughts was, you didn't finish that right. You didn't finish Civil War properly. So now here we are with Civil War II. Let's figure this out. So your original question was, how are we feeling about the current state, the trajectory of where we are? I'm an optimist, so I always believe in the best of everything. And so I really want to believe that there is change possible. Boy, do I miss that man. So I really think that we're in a really good position to have this momentum. And how wonderful an opportunity when everyone is stuck at home and doesn't have their job right now, or isn't going, or free to do whatever, and they're going out there and standing up for this. It's time. We have to make this right now. And the reason why I believe so strongly in this shift this time, hopefully, obviously I don't have a crystal ball either. I was going to borrow Kim's, but she's out. I really know what it's like to fight for equality. I get it. I was thinking during this discussion, like, oh, okay, fighting for gay rights. We wanted this, and this. And so I know exactly what we need to fight for Black lives. We need the police to be dismantled, whatever it means. Defund, there's a lot of words going around that don't mean what it's trying to say. So let's not mess up the words. Let's say reform. And you know what, Wayne? You're right. Nobody wants to look in the mirror and go, wow, you got a lot of work to do on yourself. But we all have to do it. We have to do it. There is no future to humanity if you can't look in the mirror and say, what are you doing wrong? Karma's a bitch, and it's back. And we didn't do this right. We didn't do it right. I like to say my West Virginia was started because it was supposed to be a state that didn't believe in slavery, and my ancestors started West Virginia. So I'm like, ooh, you know, I'm absolved of this. There's my white privilege showing. So like, I'm just like, I didn't have slaves. My ancestors, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. We are all not equal if one of us is not equal. So it doesn't matter if the rest of the country, if the South, which I have a huge disdain for, I'm trying to get over it. The South is just so backward in the middle of the country. But, you know,
let's stay
Okay,
focused.
okay. Let's get Al's ideas on it.
I grew up overseas, and I'm like, yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Al. Sorry.
All right, Al. So we were talking about this movement that's really picking up pace, and it's already reaching a lot more people than it ever has before. Do you think it's going to make a difference? And
I'm less optimistic. Let's just say, not that I'm not optimistic at all, but I'm a little less optimistic. And you know, obviously, you know, when you like at the conception of the police, at least the police in America, before they were called paddle rollers, and you have to understand where that came from. Paddle rollers were the people who used to check the slaves to see whether they had papers or not, right? So you weren't allowed, as maybe you guys know, you weren't allowed to circulate freely, right? So paddle rollers is literally the first establishment that represented the police, and it seems like it's here to check certain people, right? Obviously, you know, it's not so much of a, obviously, yes, race plays a big part of it, but it's the police is here to protect the assets of rich white people. We've never talked about this. Like, people have this sense of the police should be this and it should be that and they should be protecting us. No, the police is here to protect the asset of rich white folks, right? So at the conception of it, that's what the police were. And then when you go down in history and you see the oppression of what's been going on, you see the fight, you know, whether it's people in New Zealand, right? And other people pretty much supporting what Black people are going through, which they have forever. Is it really going to change? For me, everything has to do with resources, right? People wanna sit here, and I had that, you know, that same mentality where I sit here and I go, well, you know, white people need to act right, and you know, Black people need more opportunities, and we need to be equal. It's not a problem. It's not a how do I say this? It's not an issue of race disparity. It's an issue of resources disparity, if I may, right? So if we take the people in Black communities and give them enough money that if the police mistreats you and you get to sue them and sue the city for every dollar that they have, I can guarantee you they will stop, you know, somewhat mistreating the Blacks in the community. But it seems like, and the reason why I don't protest, at least not anymore, and the reason why I don't do that is because for the most part, I feel like we in this journey to make white people act right. I'm not in that journey. I don't want to be part of that journey. That's so exhausting. I got my own issues to deal with. And the fact that we're here and we want to, oh, white people, please listen to us, please. How long has it been? I mean, 1619 to 2020, 401 years. If no one has learned for this long, I mean, what makes you think they're going to learn next year, right? So at some point, it's a matter of economics. And I wish that the majority, obviously, we don't need all Black folks and people who want to help Black people, but the majority of people, I wish that they could understand that and understand that it's not a civil right issue, it's a civil right issue, right? So silver meaning the metal, right? So, I mean, that's how I see it. And you know, we have a lot of experiences. I mean, it's so daunting. And I remember the brother was speaking and he was talking about how, when you get stopped by the police, and obviously it happens to me and it happens to everyone around me, the way you have to speak. In our community, it's called code switching, right? So what it is that you tend to adopt your white voice. And a book that I've read and that hit me so hard is a book by Dr. Frank Fanon, right? He's from the Martinique, obviously, back in colonial times. And he was the first one to approach that and see the psychological effect that it has on Black people, and how when we addressing whites, we try to speak like them. And it's like literally you get out of your body and you become someone else. And I know it happens to us around, my peers, and we talk about it and we laugh about it. But it's almost like you got a split personality. Your like what America teaches you is that your Blackness is not enough. You have to be Europeanized, right? And we all try to, like when you talk to the people at work or the cops, you can't speak freely. And that itself is prison. And when you go to a store, and it happens to me countless of times, never stole anything in my life, never, not even out of my mama's purse, right? But you go to a store and they follow you. And, as a kid, it used to frustrate me. Like, I don't steal. Like, I don't steal. Like, my whole family would tell you I don't steal. But people don't know that. My body itself says thief. My body itself says criminality. What do you do?
It's really
So
sad, man.
Yeah.
That hurt is really showing. I'm feeling so bad right now.
I can relate to that also, because when I walk around, sometimes I will me and my friends will joke about it. Why are people making these subtle micro moves as if I'm going to hurt them, or if I'm going to cause trouble? And I'm saying, in our history, we never hurt you. You never did anything. Why are you acting this way? Why are you? You know what I'm getting at, right? It's like,
of course.
Yeah.
And it's like, but movies and TVs, it programs kids, and it does that all over the world, everywhere I go.
So this is I'm going to turn the tables around a little bit, change the topic a little bit, go into a little bit core of this problem, right? Core of this problem is what I see it from outside is poverty. It's all about money, right? Education. These two are the primary issues that have plagued the Black community from all the way from back in the old days. For whatever reason, I don't think it was color issue. It was the domination, because Blacks in general were stronger physically, and white maybe wanted to dominate or whatever. And they tried to keep Black people down through money and power and education, right? They try to focus on that you guys don't get educated. If you are knowledgeable, you will revolt, you will do these things. So they try to dominate you. So as a member of Black community, knowledgeable citizen, what do you think you can do? What are you doing to change the underlying issues?
The usual things like mentor youth, try to encourage people to encourage kids to achieve whatever they seek in life, despite what TV and movies might make it seem impossible for you to be and do. Knowing more about who you really are as an African American, knowing what your history was involving as it relates to Africans coming here through the slave trade, and African and African presence here before the slave trade. Just being fully aware of who you are in this world.
This may sound simplistic, but I think the one thing that everyone has the power to do, which may sound like that it's not enough, is to be a good person and to exude that goodness, which leads you down paths of whether you're mentoring or whether you're supporting other people or whether you're speaking out against injustices, whatever that means for each person individually. And then I think something that struck me that Al said is is there a way to disrupt the money? Like with the bus boycotts, Rosa Parks, everybody knows that she refused to sit in the back of the bus, and then all of a sudden, it was all fixed. Well, that's not what happened. What happened was that the bus service was stopped, and so the money was disrupted, and that's why she hurt. And so the question is, how do you disrupt the money that is causing the corruption of people and and the mistreatment of people and the power. How do you disrupt that stream so that true change can occur? And I don't have the answer for that, but that's something that that I'm looking for the answer. I don't know. I'd like to be part of the solution, but I don't have the answers.
Okay.
So I think for me, my job is, like I said, what I started doing from like 16 years back is to dwell into history. And I'm just going to give out this quick example of my niece. So my niece growing up, born and raised here, Montgomery County. She started growing up, and right around when she was 7, 8, she started, I guess, comprehending that her hair didn't look like, Samantha's, who's the, little white girl's hair, and started kind of internalizing it as if her hair didn't suffice or she didn't look good enough. For me, the slogans of Black is beautiful. No, some people are beautiful, some people are not so beautiful, just like behavior, right? So I didn't want to throw her in that blank, like just that blanket of, oh,
False
we all
narrative.
beautiful. No. What I did was went back to the books, and whether it's Ivan Van Sertimer and Dr. Shekanta Diop, I made sure that she understood where it came from, and I made sure that she understood where human came from, how they started evolving, and the reason why her hair was her hair. So it wasn't so much of liking her hair for vanity reason. It was more so of understanding herself. Now she's 14 years old, and I'm proud of her because she walks around and understands her Blackness. And I think that for a lot of for a lot of the African American community, that's what's missing. And of course, we can dwell into the '94 crime bill, where when you have crack is a residue of cocaine. Now, how is the white boy going to get caught for using cocaine with 2 grams, and he gets either probation or literally 6 months of prison? And then you have the Black guy who's literally holding a residue of cocaine and ends up having 25 years in jail. Kim, that's a residue, literally. That's a residue. It's a residue. Kim, going back to what you were saying, whether it's Marcus Garvey, whether it's Booker T. Washington, whether it's Dr. Claude Anderson, they taught us this. They wrote these things down, and what we have to do is we need to, and us and our allies, so whether it's Chetna or just the good white people, we need to start spending money in Black communities. The service may not be that great for some reason. I'm just obviously not all, I'm being stereotypical, but if you want to help out, do not go out there and protest. America knew who she is. America know who she is out of conception, and it's not going to change. People keep saying, "In God we trust." God is an acronym for good old dollar. In good old dollar we trust. So at the end of the day, we just need to understand, if you want to support this Black movement, you want to help for the liberation of Black people, spend your money in Black businesses. So go out there and say, 100% of your money goes to, white establishment. Maybe where you buy your shoes, maybe, I don't know, where you cut your hair, something. Just make sure you invest your money in the Black community. I can guarantee you that money gonna help out pay some kids' tuition. They're gonna go to school and then end up changing the status quo. Right now, what we're doing, like I said, it's a daunting task for us to work towards the good behavior of white people. I don't even understand. To tell you the truth, it's silly, because it's like you have a cow and white people decided to call it a dog. And the 13th Amendment, that's exactly what it is, going back to the 13th Amendment, 1865. White people come to their senses and say, oh, you know what? Black people deserve to be free. They're human now. They were humans before you were conceived, and they were going to remain human. So it's a semantic, right? So us going through this psychological exercise of white people, please accept us.
You opened my eyes, man. You spoke
You
so
are,
well.
yeah, he's
You are
amazing.
amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing all that history and relating it with today's situation. Vilas, I want to give you a chance also. So that change that you're bringing is, how does that help the Black cause? What are you doing?
I support Al in his statement of don't go out there and protest, make your dollars count 100%, because that's like the gay community is all about that. Like there's stuff all over the internet of don't shop there, don't do that, don't buy that. Look at Lowe's, Home Depot. Home Depot is the new one on the block. They're out. Lowe's is in, you know. So like pay attention to who's supporting who and support them. So let's talk about it from a very local level, because we're all local to each other, even you, Wayne, you know, virtually. So, you know, find that, you know, I have some progressive groups that I'm in Montgomery County, and people are like, I want to support Black-owned restaurants. Who do you have? And so people would be like, go here, go there, try this one, check and see if this one is open or whatever. Like, find those people, support those people. I own a small real estate brokerage. I have agents that are Black, and I've had conversations with one of them about how she's, you know, first of all, it's hard to ask a woman who has made it in some level of success, so what are you going to do to put your hand down? So for me, you know, to rise up the next person, I don't know if I'm making sense, but she's feeling that. She's like, I feel successful and I want to help other people, but I'm treading water, and you want me to like put my hand down and bring people up. You know, figure out how to support the small businesses. That woman, my agent, that has a daughter and a son who she's going to pay for their education, you know, support that person. Seek them out and build them up. Find the business establishments that do share your values, political values, cultural values, religious values, it doesn't matter. Build them up. That's how you grow as a society. Chick-fil-A is a really good example. I mean, the gay community, like it's actually really split, because, you know, a lot of people are like, but we love Chick-fil-A. And, you know, one time they handed out food when Orlando got shot up. And I'm like, okay, but look at the big picture. They do not support equality, and they give tons of money to these hate organizations. Let's just not give them our money. It's really simple. Find a different chicken, please.
Well, I think the franchises are hard.
It is,
because we're seeing that a lot with because
you hear about Wendy's.
Right. Yeah. You may have Black or you know, other minority owner that you want to support. It's that you're kind of in a catch-22. But I just wanted to say, and I'm sorry I cut you off. I'll let you
No, it's fine.
But in terms of lists of places, there's like an online thing called MoCo Show, which has published a list of Black businesses. So if you're looking for something, check them out. They've got a great list.
What was that again?
MoCo,
the MoCo Show.
They're on Twitter, they're on Facebook. Yeah.
That's the good thing.
And so, I would also, there was a question asked before, and I just wanted to say this one thing. How to educate yourself if you're white. Let's talk to basic white people right now, okay? Google, okay? Just Google George Floyd and watch that shit. Then Google Philando Castile. Watch that. Watch what is happening. Educate yourself. Trevor Noah just did a thing, I think last night or the night before. And he was like, it's in your face. It's in your face happening.
Yeah.
So if you walked into the store, if you walked into the 7-Eleven and you robbed it, and then you're in front of the judge and you're like, well, it's not exactly what you saw. You didn't see the other thing that was happening. Actually, I think it's going backward. I was actually putting money back in there. Come on. Who believes this? This is happening. Okay, that's my band. And then the last thing I want to say is please, white people out there, watch the 13th. It's the 13th Amendment. It's horrible and it's disgusting, and it's critical that you Number one, educate yourself. It's ugly. Guess what? We're a horrible country. We came here, we stole it from the Native Americans. It's insane. Don't stop saying this is a great country. And how do you make it great again? Again? What is that? Again? When was it great? What the hell?
Movie agenda.
So let me ask you guys, what laws do you want to see changed as a Black person in America?
Oh.
So
Lynching is still on the goddamn books. Lynching.
yes, lynching is still on the books.
Obvious.
Rand Paul didn't want to do it because he was protecting, whatever.
Are
So
you serious?
yeah, definitely. So for me, America needs to represent itself politically. And obviously me, I think it's a money issue, but obviously right after money comes politics. Now, America needs to represent itself politically. Now, if you take a look at Congress, it's nothing but a bunch of old white men.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our workplaces are not filled with old white men. You go to McDonald's, the people who work there are not a bunch of old white men. So why politically it's just a bunch of old white men, right? So these are some of the things that we need to reconsider. And we have to stay the course. We have to stay the course. I think for so long, our forefathers got caught up with symbolism, right? And I did too. Obama getting into office. And I'm like, well, I understand things are not going to change, but it's symbolic. We need to get out of that. We need to be about substance. We need to stay the course and just understand that, okay, this is what we're trying to achieve. The reason why the gay community is so successful and obviously they still have a lot of work to do, but the reason why they're so successful is just what my friend said there. The way they go about things, they hit your pocket, and that's what America understands. America understands pockets, and that's why I've never been okay with going with this moral something. You're dealing with people who, and in a system that doesn't have morals, right? It's a system that doesn't have morals. Like America brought Africans in 1619 here to be commodities. That's what they were. They were property. And then right after that, they wanted them either to work down south and be sharecroppers, which is just slavery in a sense, or go to the north and work in these factories. So that's what America has done. And I think Black people need to just understand, Black people and those who want to help them just need to understand that, listen, this is not let's not get caught up in what's symbolic and what's not symbolic, and just understand the substance. What do? We're going to start affecting the people at the local level, right? Most of us don't vote when it comes to at the local level. We don't vote. We just don't vote. We think it's at the top, but nothing happens at the top.
Yep.
But voting is important, as you know, right?
Voting is very important.
It's very important. Yes.
Voting is very important. And what's more important is voting locally at the lowest level. That's what impacts your life. Voting for Joe Biden or voting for Obama is not it's not going to change your life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that sense of, there's this intangible feel good about it.
Those are symbolic ones.
Right. So the feel good, yes, it's good, but that's not what's gonna. Feeling good will not fill your stomach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Feeling good does not fill your stomach. So,
let me tell you guys something. I want to piggyback a little on what Al said earlier. One of the reasons why I knew that I was going to have to make a lot of changes to a lot of things I do, including coming here from DC, was the minute that this pandemic began to hit DC or hit the United States, Trump comes out there and roll out his pandemic team, and I saw nothing but just the same old folks, old white guys and one white lady, and I said, oh no, I'm thinking, oh no, because they can't possibly be the best of experts in this kind of stuff. Where are the people from Asian countries that may have been hit by these events in the past? Where are people from the Congo who may have dealt with Ebola? And where are these? They're nowhere on the team behind him. They got but that's the typical front that we've seen for events over the last 200 years in the United States. Just all white group trying to make decisions that impact a diverse amount of people and thinking that they can get it nailed, and they never get it nailed. And they never appreciate the type of perspectives that will come to to make a team much more valuable from a diversity of individuals. They've got to really get that drilled into the head, because, you know, when I go and look at different companies on the internet and I look at their management team, and if I see about 20 white guys come, I don't even care what you do. I'm going to the next one. Look, because I know you possibly can't have a bunch of good brains working if they're all coming from the same group think department. I want to see a wide range of people there.
Absolutely.
You know, especially if you're doing something that impacts a wide range of people, you know?
Yeah. So let's conclude with one last question. And that is that if you have to give literally 30-second elevator speech to somebody who is unaware, uneducated about Blacks' issues, what would you say to them to educate them and why Black Lives Matter? Take 30 seconds, and I will start with Vilas now. Vilas?
Unfriend. Just, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Vilas, go for it. 30-second speech.
I don't understand the perspective of somebody that doesn't see all humanity as, look what we have here. We have a Black woman, a white woman, a brown woman, an African American, and an American in Africa, and a brown guy. I mean, we have this amazing group of people, and we all seem to have some level of understanding of the universe and how we're all humans. And we are humans. We are human siblings. And I don't quite understand the argument of somebody who says somebody is better or worse or more or less or smarter. You know, everybody has a value. Everyone has a value. Wow. And it doesn't matter what you believe or what color you are or where you're from, whether you're educated. I'm not educated. I'm not highly educated. I just learn. I just try and understand. And the most important thing that I find that I'm looking for, probably way past 30 seconds, is understanding other humans. I want to understand other humans, no matter who they are, no matter where they're from, no matter what shade of rainbow that they happen to be. I don't care. I want to understand. And that's the critical thing. Try to understand and accept who people are, and never stay silent in the face of what you think is unjust. 30 seconds.
Well
Thank
said.
you.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you,
Kim?
Vilas.
Kim?
Okay, let's keep this at 30 seconds. Let's try. So I would say that the only way that you're going to learn, and I feel like, and I say this, and Al, you may have heard me say this at work before. I always say that if you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're standing still. And if you're standing still, what are you doing? So you need to constantly be educating yourself. You need to listen to people. You need to absorb what people are saying and what is happening around you. And you need to internalize that. And with that, you need to develop the skill, if you don't already have it already, to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. You need to think about, what if that were my son? What if that were my daughter? What if that were me? How would I feel? How would this impact my life? Because we're all all the same. We're all humans. Everybody has a family. Everybody has parents. Everyone has friends. Everyone's life is important and valuable. And so you need to be able to look past any differences and really think this could be me, and how would I feel? And therefore I need to look at this from a different angle.
Wow, nice.
Thank you, Kim. That was awesome.
Al?
Well, you know, anybody who looks at what goes on in America and how certain communities are treated, and, you know, because we always had distractors, right? So during slavery, people have always said, but, you know, the slaves are happy being slaves. Jim Crow, the blacks are happy being, you know, not having enough resources and whatnot. I have one question for them. Would you rather trade place with them? Anybody who wants to look at the, you know, what's going on now and think that it's okay, ask them if they would rather trade place with the, you know, the Black community or any marginalized community for that matter. And if they're not able to say yes, then there's a problem. I'm gonna leave you guys with something that James Baldwin said. He's like one of my favorite authors. He said, to be black and to be relatively conscious in America is to be in a constant constant rage, like to be mad constantly. So that just speaks volume,
Yep.
that just speaks volume. So that's what I wanted to leave you guys with.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Al. Thank you.
Wayne?
Wayne?
Yes, I would simply try to encourage white individuals, to wherever they're at, to accept others for who they are and not who you want them to be. I happen to sometimes feel like if you are going to really see things go easy in a certain way, a person has to be who they want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, and if you're not who they want you to be, like, basically they want you to be like them. And if you're not that, then there's a problem. They should accept others for who they are and not who they may want them to be. And that's always just been the struggle with colonizers and their descendants in this country, and probably that way everywhere else. They will simply take others and put one group against the other in different countries. I think that's why we might even have Pakistan and India different from Bangladesh and all. They just being able to accept others for who they are and not try to cast them into something that they want them to be for whatever other reasons whatsoever. That mentality permeates itself even to the day. And I know that if I want to make things easy for myself in certain situations, just be like that guy, be like you. And then they're happy because they've got somebody to be exactly who they want them to be. And in some cases, they might even call that in the Asian community, the model minority. They know who they want you to be. And if they know what the model minority for African Americans are, they know who they want us to be. And if you're not that, the struggle.
Yep.
You shouldn't have to be anything else than who you are.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. Chetna?
All I'm going to say is right now my country is hurting. I think the whole of the world is hurting. And we need to bring healing to this country. And this issue of black and white disparities, racial discrimination is so large that nothing can fix it quickly. But I'm going to do my part. I'm awake and I don't want to be silent anymore. I want to stand with my black brothers and sisters. And I also want to understand by listening to their life stories. I'm going to start at a very base level. I want to understand them. I want to learn more about them and what their struggles are. Like you said, like a very little thing which I can very easily do is like support my local black businesses. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to educate other people, especially the people who are ignorant. A lot of my friends are. A lot of the South Asian communities are very ignorant about Black people, Black society, Black culture, which is so rich. I know, but a lot of people don't know. So I'm just going to listen. I'm going to lift them up the way I can. And talking about this on my forum, this Take to Creations, is my way. It's a very simple first step on my part to just listen and lift.
Thank you. All I say, and I'm going to take like a word from each one of you, keyword that is walk in a young black man's shoes for a mile and then judge them. Before you judge them, if you don't know what they go through, you have no right to say all lives matter is more important than Black Lives Matter. For me, Black Lives Matter because you are working, you are dealing with it, you're struggling with it every day. I am not. So, yes, I do have, there is discrimination, but discrimination of my level is nowhere close to what a young male, young female, or of any age feels and experiences every day. So, my message is become a human being. And once you become a good human being, there will be no inequality left. There will be no discrimination. Just try to be a good human being. There are no differences in human beings. There is no race, there is no color, there is no nationality, nothing matters in that case. So I will try to do that, and that's what I want everyone else to do. Just be a good human being. So with that, we conclude our discussion for today. I know this can go on forever, and I would like you guys to continue to educate us. It was insightful for, I know, for me, and I'm sure it was for Chetna as much.
Definitely. I
as
loved
well.
it.
So thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and coming and joining us and educating us and raising very good issues.
Thank you guys, because I really
Thank you.
appreciate you talking from your hearts. And sometimes it's difficult, but trust me, it was very enlightening. And thank you,
Nice.
Vilas. Being the non-white white woman, you were amazing.